Hello and welcome to another episode of Giant Mess, a sloppy sports and entertainment talk show about the New York Giants, New York Mets, movies, television, comedy, and a whole lot more. It's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the Real Cinch Neal Lynch. I'm a plump and furry Irish-Italian-American who graduated from a Catholic high school but isn't Catholic, and a college known for producing doctors and lacrosse players, and then I became neither. Instead, I'm a blogger, vlogger, podcaster, writer, editor, video optimizer, content strategist, and failed stand-up comedian. And I have a voicemail. Not sure if you know. 862-BIT-1986. 862-BIT-1986. You can follow me on my official blog, neallynch.com. I have a big blog post dropping tomorrow, hopefully. Facebook.com/giantmess. On Twitter, I'm Real Cinch. I'm also Real Cinch on Instagram and YouTube. Of course, you can always subscribe to me on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. Stitcher, there's like 8 or 9 more that I'm on. On this week's episode, on today's episode, on this episode, should the Mets bring back the Dark Knight, aka Two-Face, Matt Harvey? Thor. Noah Syndergaard tore his UCL and will need Tommy John surgery. What does that mean for the starting rotation and for the bullpen and for his future in a Mets uniform? Anthony DiComo from MLB.com gave us his ranking of the top 5 Mets first basemen of all time. I'm going to break that down. I'm also going to look at how coronavirus, not sure if you've heard about it, how that little disease, that little annoying illness will impact free agency. And then we'll round out the show with some Giants talk. How the Giants fared on Pro Football Reference's top 100 games of all time, top 100 players list, and the top 100 teams ever. We'll also look at how the Giants fared in free agency. Some hated it, some liked it. I don't know that anyone really loved it, but we'll get into that. And then we'll finish up with what the Giants should do in the upcoming draft, which will not be postponed. Roger Goodell is putting his foot down. So let's get started. Let's dive into it. Let's talk about a little bit about life, first of all. Last time we talked, it was right around Friday the 13th. And that seems to be when everything went to haywire. Coronavirus was kind of like this funny thing that we all talked about, and we're like, China, you crazy Chinese over there in China land with your virus. Didn't really sink in, I think, at that point. I mean, I opened that episode by saying that it was running roughshod and that it was taking over the world. I don't think I anticipated it happening at this kind of level. We were instructed on Tuesday the 10th to work from home until further notice, just as a precaution. And then there was an abundance of caution. That seemed to be the phrase word. We now have a new phrase, social distancing. There's everything is different. There are virtual happy hours on Zoom. And, everything's different. Everything. March Madness was canceled. And XFL was canceled. Baseball opening day was supposed to be like this past week. That's been postponed. They were saying that maybe it looks like they could possibly start playing July 4th, which is typically right around the halfway point, right when the All-Star break would be, which I have to think might actually benefit the Mets, for being honest. It would give Yoenis Cespedes some extra time to heal. Jed Lowry, I don't know that there's enough time in human history for Jed Lowry to heal. But, people are down about the coronavirus, and I get it. People are dying, and the death rate you see the curve. We're trying to flatten the curve. It's exponential. It's going shot right up. And, there are memes to get you through your day to kind of try and keep a light heart during the heavy times. People are in quarantine or losing their minds. They're getting cabin fever. Not this guy. I was born to work from home. I was born to stay at home. I was born to never leave the fucking house. house. This is like my wheelhouse. This is exactly my sweet spot. Is staying at home, working from home, never leaving the home. And it's interesting. My mom is losing her shit. I mean, she now FaceTimes us, calls us every day, trying to figure out what's going on. And if I cough or as much as like, hiccup, it's like, oh, you got to get tested. You got to go. You got to do a virtual visit, visit your doctor and ER, and it's just like you need to order all this, and it's like we're doing our best here. We're trying our best. My part of my team, a healthy chunk of my team at work went down for the count. I'm not saying they took a dirt nap. I'm saying they just were not able to work. And that is why it's been 3 weeks since my last episode, because I was doing 3 jobs and then I decided I'll just add 3 more. Fuck it. Let's do 10 jobs at once. So I was doing the work of about, 6 to 10 people, just about. Trying to make up for 16 lost people, not lost as in forever, just temporarily, not able to work. Stayed up to like 12:30 a.m. trying to get stuff done. Had to work till 9 another night. I mean, it was almost a 60-hour week, which I know there are people, I have friends in finance that spit on that number, that laugh in the face of that number. 60 hours a week. Try 80, try 100 hours a week, you pompous little bitch. And yeah, I get it. But for me, 60 hours, that's a lot. So I was kind of burning, I was already stressed out and burnt out at work. And then just decided to dump coronavirus on me and add to that. So yeah, I had every intention last Monday. It was like, I'm finally going to sit down, crank one out. Not that way, but a pod, a show, an ep. I was going to crank one of those out all over your face. And that's when I got the call. Hey, no, you're not going to have any support tonight. And we need support. And can you ask so-and-so? And I asked so-and-so, and I'm like, hey, you want some overtime pay? No, thanks. Okay. Awesome. So I had to suck it up that night. And it's been a battle. Slowly but surely, I'm getting people back into the flow of things, which is great. And feels like this is the new norm now. I know like movie theaters were shutting down, and now we got like home premieres, which who the fuck is buying those? I mean, I can understand you're out and about, you get dinner, you want to go to the movie theater, and you're on a date or something like that. You're willing to shell out maybe maximum $20 to see it in a nice big theater with a nice big screen and a nice killer sound system. How people expect people to pay $20 to stream it at home in advance of it being released? Nah, dude. No, to stream it, to rent it, $20? You're charging me $20 to buy it. So a little put off by that, but here are the things so coronavirus has got a lot of people down, a lot of people losing their minds. I'm like a pig in shit. I kind of love this. Outside of the whole death thing, horrible that people are dying. Got it. But $0 delivery fees on food. It's huge. Jersey Mike's offered 50% off everything. And we got 4 giant ass subs that lasted us the whole weekend. The wife and I. So you're getting delivery for free, which is huge. And even though March Madness is canceled, and a lot of the sports are canceled, NHL is postponed, possibly canceled, NBA is postponed, possibly canceled, you're now seeing the greatest games of all time being replayed. Like 30 for 30, ESPN, March Madness, I think they're doing a great job of just airing like the best to greatest March Madness games on weekends. Just relive those. Why not? Amazing. Love it. NFL's re-airing all kinds of greatest games, NBA, NHL. MLB, everyone's airing the best that there is out there. It's not too shabby, So it's not necessarily no sports, just no live sports. ESPN brought back the Ocho, which is great. 30 for 30, which is like you couldn't find it anywhere because ESPN was trying to monetize the fuck out of it. So they were like putting it behind all kinds of paywalls and all that jazz, and you just couldn't find it. And now it's like marathons every weekend on ABC. Fantastic. I'm it is a nightmare, but I am living the dream. I get to watch the greatest, best content that sports has produced over the past however many years. I get to order severely discounted delivery food. So you don't get to hang out with people. I guess this goes back to the fact that I'm an introvert and I don't like, I like going to parties and hanging out and talking and shooting the shit. And that's great. But like, I don't need, I love my friends, but I don't, and I don't want to say like, I don't need my friends, but I'm able to get, I'm not losing my sanity just yet. I did blow my stack Friday night. That was for sure. Just got bombarded with requests at work at like 8 p.m. when I'm trying to just try to get up on the weekend, try to get all up in the weekend's guts, and work would not let me. And I eventually lost it. Ended up breaking my wife's Peloton water bottle. We got a Peloton. Yep. I was against it from the start. I think it's way too expensive for essentially a stationary bike with a TV attached to it. But the wife has been riding it, and I gotta say, I am secondhand enjoying her riding the Peloton bike, because if I'm on the couch and my back is to her and she's on the bike and she's huffing and puffing, it kind of gets the blood flowing. You kind of close your eyes and you're just like, all right, work it out, baby. It does something for me. I'll just say that. I haven't ridden it yet. I don't know. Somehow I tore my meniscus in my sleep. That's how fucking out of shape I am. But I might give it a shot this weekend. What the hell? So we got a Peloton, super goddamn expensive, but I don't know. It could be worth it. And we're selling our house. There's the announcement. You dropped the bomb on me, baby. Yeah, we're selling our house. That's official. It wasn't even on the market. And I feel bad for my mother, because my mother has been trying to sell her house in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, Wildflower Trail. Just go and take a look. Who knows? You might like it. It's right on the 13th green of Myrtle Beach National Golf Course. It's a fantastic house. It's a beautiful house. I love it. She did a lot of work to it and brought it up to speed, modernized it, renovated it a little bit. And it's a beautiful house. I wish if work didn't fucking chain us to the New York City metropolitan area, I would buy that shit in a heartbeat and move down there, because I really enjoyed that house a lot. She was there from 2007 to 2019, so about 12 years. I think that's the longest stretch she's spent in one area, possibly her entire life. 12 years. So now she's moved into the mother-in-law suite, I guess they call it, quote unquote, behind my sister's house in a very rural part of South Carolina, which that's a nice house too. And has renovated that and kind of modernized that. And I guess the only big problem she's got there, well, there's always problems, but the septic tank, there's like a huge septic tank issue problem, which is interesting considering it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people on the premises and no one for miles except cows and soy. So yeah, she's spent months trying to sell this house. My wife was on a Facebook group for moms in Wayne. And one of the moms was like, we're desperate to buy a house in this school district. Can anyone help us out? And she was just like, yeah, we're a ways away, probably a year or two, but come on by, take a look. And of course, they sent their real estate agent. She came, took a look, was like, yeah, this is pretty decent. I'll give you a price later that night. She gave us a price. We were like, holy moly, would we be foolish to reject this? We had no intention of accepting. We were like, what number would you possibly accept? Not thinking it would get to that number, and it did. And then we had a couple of in-depth, serious conversations with my mom and my father-in-law, and they were both like, yeah. So these are two people. One's a landlord, and the other one's moved a dozen times. So I kind of trust their advice, their opinion. And so we agreed. So within a span of a weekend, 3 days, 2 days maybe, we were like, yeah, we're selling our house. We got a buyer, and we agreed to a price, and we now have a closing date, which is close to Memorial Day weekend. And now we have to find a place to live in the middle of a fucking pandemic. No big deal. NBD, no press. So that's, why not? You know, coronavirus, teams depleted at work, extra hours, no sleep till Brooklyn. Brielle's daycare shut down. We felt like total idiots because we were told to work from home starting on the 10th, and we sent her into school every single day, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. And then we sent her back on Monday, the 16th, after they sent us a message that was kind of ambiguous. That was like, hey, we're open and we're here to serve the children of first responders and those who need it. And we're like, well, we kind of need it. We're both working. And so we sent her in that Monday, the 16th, and Brielle was one of 4 children in that entire goddamn school. No regrets. It's like, that was pretty bad. So, and of course the teachers love her. So they were all up on her like white on rice. And so she came home with like a hacker's cough, like lay off the Marlboro Reds, lady. And so she probably got it and then gave it to us. Cass and I have like tightness in our chest, coughing here and there, short of breath-ish, asthmatic. You know, my respiratory system, every system I got under the hood, not 100%. It's never been 100%. It's been subpar at best my entire life. So I'm susceptible to like bronchitis and all that great stuff. So yeah, I was a little worried. But we're getting through it. Neither of us had a fever. Cass was a little cautious. Well, yeah, cautious, but also nauseous. A little caution nosh. And you know, I got a little nauseous last night, but overall, I think we're all right. I think we're gonna be all right. But so what has the coronavirus done to baseball? What has it done to football? What has it done to my life? So yeah, we're selling the house. Okay. And like the inspector came, did his inspection, provided his inspection report. We have a lot of fair to poor items in this house, which is sad because it was built in 2017. Like I would love to just, if I had the means, just to sue the piss out of the builder who built this house and the person who sold the house, and possibly the real estate, and just sue everybody, sue their panties off, because yeah, I feel like we got a bill of goods. We got hosed a little bit. And I love how I'm saying that as we're about to close. So hopefully the buyers aren't listening to this. No, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, we hooked up the electricity to the garage. You know, who installs a garage door opener in a garage that has no electricity? The people who sold the house to us, or the person who sold the house to us. They just half-assed a lot of things. They cut some corners, and now we're having to pay for it. And the worst part about it is, I think it's all right. It shouldn't be that much money. You know, half a dozen items or less, 5 or 6 items that seem doable. The problem, the issue is trying to get a business person in this area to fucking respond and come out here, give us a quote, and do the goddamn job. At this point, I don't know, $10,000, $20,000. Just name your price. Come over here and name your goddamn price, because it's insane trying to get in touch with people online. I mean, what year is it? Like 1920? Does the internet even exist, according to these people? Because none of them have a website. If they do, it's outdated. All the links are broken. You can't fill out a form. Nothing works. Or they have a Facebook page that they don't update with no contact information. You call the number, leave a message, they don't get back to you. I set up an appointment with one of these fuckers for Wednesday at noon. Sent him an email with all the information, with all the pictures, the inspection report, the demands from the buyers. Just didn't come. Ended up calling him, ended up emailing him, didn't respond. Another guy called me, talked to him, sent him the inspection report, demands, all that jazz, just didn't respond. It's just insane. At this point, it's like literally the amount of effort that you have to put in to actually get business in this area, not that hard. Just respond. Give a quote that's reasonable. And I mean, like, I feel like if I get born again, that I should come back as a fucking contractor or small business person in this area, because I would have contact info everywhere and I would get back to you as soon as possible. And I would rack the fuck up, because these people just don't understand business. Yeah, so that's my old man rant. 60-minute style, bitch. Yeah, so Corona. Oh boy. Corona. So that's life. That's basically what we're dealing with right now. We were supposed to go away in a week to see my 92-year-old grandmother. She probably hates that I mentioned her age, but what are you gonna do? Supposed to meet up with my buddy from junior high, middle school, up in Rhode Island, and that's not gonna happen. We had there's supposed to be 2 weddings. There's supposed to be a wedding this Saturday, and that got quote unquote canceled. Not postponed, canceled. We had another 2 weddings in 2 weeks, mid-April. Both of those got postponed, one to July, one to August, which actually, it's coming up all roses for me, because I didn't, I was conflicted about which one to go to. I was going to try and go to both somehow, some way, split me down the middle, clone me. And now I get to go to both, which is cool. There's supposed to be a bachelor party last Friday down in AC. And up until a week before then, these dudes, God bless them, were planning to go. They were like, no one's going to be there. It'll be fine. We'll have the whole casino to ourselves. I was just like, what world are we living in? Spring breakers. Kids on spring break. Hey, I get it. Like, you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and you have been probably, like, I never did this because I never went on spring break, but I had friends that were like cutting weight, trying to get shredded, trying to get ripped, going on diets hardcore for a month or more just so they could like have the abs pop, which is so essential at spring break. And to go through all that pain and gain, to not be able to go and drink your face off and do drugs and have sex and party, it's like, that sucks. That's like their fire festival. And yet they still went. They're like, nah, fuck that, son. I'm going and I'm raging. And we'll see how it pans out. You gotta love, I mentioned this in the last episode, but you gotta love the daily live streams from de Blasio, Cuomo, and Murphy, the mayor, the governor. I mean, these guys are just living it up in the limelight and the spotlight. I can't imagine having to sit there and listen to all those questions from all those goddamn reporters who think their question is so important And, and it's like, I don't know. The New Jersey one, Murphy one's funny because he just like goes around the room. He just takes his time and he doesn't go from reporter to reporter for each question. He's like, say every question that you've ever had. I will write them down as you go and I will answer them one by one. And it's just funny because like these reporters are like, and what is this? And why is this? And how is this? And who is? And they just go on and on. And it's just like, do you really have that many questions? And it's like, if you don't ask all those questions, are you fired? Like, what's going on here? So, but like I said, Breeze Daycare shut down. So we got the babysitter. Figured the babysitter will be able to help us out. Maybe in the mornings to start off with, maybe in the afternoons here and there. She'll be able to help out. And she was able to help out for maybe 2 or 3 days, 4 days. And then she got sick. She was visiting her 90-year-old grandmother. And so that's that. We have 0 childcare. And my wife and I both work. I work. My work is just nonstop bullshit. And hers is kind of gets busy here and there. And it's like the television is the babysitter. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear about that. And maybe social services come knocking on my door. But there's like nothing else we can do. And, as understanding as these huge companies like to portray themselves as and caring and, yeah, we're here for you and da-da-da. It's like, yeah, but if I came to you and said I can't do this job because I have to watch my daughter, you'd be like, yeah, sure. It's like, no, you wouldn't. So people getting furloughed, people getting laid off, 6.6 million people unemployment, trying to claim unemployment benefits, 6.6 million, dude. And for the one time in my life, I'm on the right side of that and I'm actually employed. But of course, the 2 positions I wanted to fill at work, possibly we're in a hiring freeze now and I can't get those 2 people in, even though I'm so close to hiring one. So us trying to there was a stretch where the only thing that Brielle will keep her attention is Frozen. It was Frozen for a while. It was Frozen 2, not even Frozen 1. It was just Frozen 2. And so I think there was one day where we played Frozen 2 5 times, 4 or 5 times, back to back to back to back to back. Eventually, she warmed up to Frozen. So we got at least Frozen and Frozen 2 going. So that was nice. And eventually, she also started to warm up to Moana. So at least now we have Frozen, Frozen 2, Moana, and there's a little bit, it's not as maddening as just Frozen 2 over and over again. Trying to make her watch like Sesame Street. She like tunes in for like 5 minutes and then is just trying to figure out what to do next. And guess what else she's into now? My arch nemesis, Blippi. I don't understand how this dude is successful. I know I did a rant about this back in the summer after we visited my sister down in South Carolina. I don't understand how this dude, his like net worth is like $20+ million. I don't get it. It's just him and a camera. And he just goes around different places and it's just like, wow, look at this. A red ball. And 20 million views. It's like, what? I mean, the lighting's not even good. The audio stinks. It's not like a professional, I guess, production. Not at all. And I'm not saying this is a professional production. It's obviously not. It's just amateur shit. But that's like me getting 20 million views on this. Not going to happen. But the toddlers love it. Even my niece, who's 6, loves it. And it's like, you got to be kidding me, dude. First of all, his outfit is egregious. All right. I get the hat. I get the sunglasses. I get the suspenders. But then you're going to wear like a blue button-down shirt on top of like gray jeans? What? It's like, that seems like a misfire to me. But, more power to him, You gotta release the hate and just let it go. Oh, fucking frozen is like permeated my goddamn cerebellum. So that's where we're at right now. Holy moly, fucking Blippy. And he like kind of wings it most of the time throughout. And I'm sitting there going, I cannot believe that this kid is just enamored, mesmerized with Blippy. And he just markets the fuck out of everything he does. He's like, hey, just go online and search for Blippy, spell it with me, hey, parents, friend me on Facebook and Instagram so I can sell you more shit. It's just like, hot damn, Blippy. Dude, my man figured it out. But that's how messed up and weird and warped my mind is that I look at that and I go, I could do that and I can do that better. It's like, well, then do it, Neal. No, you don't have the balls. All right, so that's life. Let's talk Mets. Should the Mets bring back Matt Harvey, the Dark Knight, aka Two-Face? I saw this was a question from SNY. There was a video, I guess, posted by Harvey on IG of him on a random mound on a random field. It looked like a high school baseball field, just him and a catcher. The cameraman's behind him, and it's literally one pitch, and the glove popped. There's no question about it. The glove popped, and it had some movement on it, and it looked good. We didn't get a speed on it. I'd guess upper 80s, low 90s, I'd have to say. And people went nuts, started jizzing everywhere and just saying, we got to bring him back. I mean, we got to bring him back. And that was before all this hoopla with Thor went down. And now that he has gone down, people are like, oh, well, now you got to bring him back. It's like, this is like 2 years ago. We were done with him. And he went, I don't even know where he went. Did he go to Cincinnati and then he went to Anaheim? So he hasn't stuck anywhere. And so it's such a typical Mets move to bring him back. I don't know that you really should. I mean, maybe if he stays in shape and continues to show you progress and you keep checking in with him and he keeps looking good, maybe, I don't know. I think we have enough arms, to be honest. And I don't know that you want him and his bullshit in the locker room anymore. Do you? In the clubhouse? I don't know. It's not a hard pass for me, but I'm not buying. I don't even know what his numbers were. But I mean, if he's out there and available and no one's really chomping at the bit, I don't see why we need to. I mean, take a flyer on him for like a super low contract, I guess, if that's even possible. But oh my. And here's the thing that I'm not getting. So I'm a big fan of TV networks, channels, whatever, streaming services, re-airing, rebroadcasting the greatest, best games. I am not down with or okay with these simulations. These video game simulations, I couldn't care less. I've tried twice now. I tried once with the Mets, a Mets simulation where it's Mets Phillies or something like that. And I think I watched like one batter, and I was like, I can't do this. Same with the Devils. The Devils, I keep getting notifications like, oh, hey, check out the simulation between the Devils and the Sabres, or the Devils and Penguins. I checked out the Devils and Penguins. The Penguins like scored like back-to-back goals right off the bat, and I'm just like, I don't really need to watch this. Like, this is meaningless. That's why esports, I don't know if I could ever really get into esports. I don't understand the fascination with esports, the let's play movement. I know I sound like a fucking old man right now, but it's just the truth. I don't get the appeal. It's so, like, I understand when I'm playing video games, I'm fucking super into it and I'm hyped and I feel like I'm on crack cocaine. I am addicted. I get dry mouth and like my eyes get like big and you know, dry and like, oh, I'm like, it's addictive. When I watch someone else play, it's kind of like meh. And then when I'm watching no one play and it's just like a computer simulation, it's kind of like, I don't know if I really care for this. Although I will say they need to there used to be, and I think I mentioned this before, there used to be like a TV series on ESPN where it's like NFL legendary matchups or NFL's greatest games, something like that, legend series or something like that, where they would somehow edit together footage of one iconic team with footage of another iconic team, and they tried to make it look like they were playing each other. And I liked the idea and the premise behind it. I mean, you could tell like it just wasn't, but my young child brain was still fascinated, like, oh, who would win between the 89 49ers and the 91 Redskins? They used to have those kind of matchups. And so I was always like really super into that. They should try. And I mean, now we have the technology has advanced so much. I mean, this was happening in like the 90s. I want to say it was in the mid 90s, maybe late 90s, that they were trying to pull this together. That I think they should try to revisit that now. But I don't know if I'd want to watch a video game simulation. It would have to look like I'm watching a live broadcast. And listen, the video games, like how far they've come, are amazing. Like I was looking at the video game simulation of Jacob deGrom, and I was like, that looks like his face. His hat's a little weird, but he's got the mannerisms and everything. So they've come a long way. But I just don't know if I want to watch that per se. But I would love to watch something that looks more like a live broadcast. Someone's got to figure it out. That's for damn sure. But like you can't pay me money to just sit there and watch a video game simulation when I don't know. Is there anything tied to this? If there was something tied to it, like you win the video game simulated season, you get XYZ, it'd be like, all right, there's some stakes involved. I guess, the gamblers are probably super into it. Just because they're going through withdrawal. You watch like Big Cat and Marty Mush at Barstool, and it's just like they don't know what to do with themselves. And it's so funny because speaking of Barstool, Penn National Gaming, they invested in Barstool right before everything went to shit. And I think before they made the announcement, it was at something like 24, and then they made the announcement, and I was like, I got to get in on this freight train to the moon. And so I tried to buy it through the Cash App because that's all I talk about on the podcast. Is like Cash App, you can now buy stocks or fractions of stocks for as little as $1. I was like, all right, I'll pluck down some hard-earned moolah on Barstool, let it ride on the pirate ship. And Cash App, like, it made it so incredibly difficult to fucking buy a stock. Just going through the app, I was like looking, search through help. There's just nothing. It's like, hey, go here, then here, and here. And I was like, I'm there. There's nothing there. I am a man in no man's land. And so I eventually and I feel like, this is a major reason why I hate myself, but I do this where I email customer support and customer service. I explain the problem, and they make it sound so easy to solve, and it's not. And I end up doing what they're doing, and I say what, and it never works out. And they're like, oh, so just send over either this, and this. And I was just like, no, fuck you. And so then coronavirus hits, the stock market goes to shit, which I shouldn't laugh about. A lot of people lost a lot of money. But had gone up to, Penn went up from 24 to like 32 or something like that, 33. And I was like, I missed the boat on this. And then the virus hit, stock market went to shit. And then it went down to like 4. And I was like, wow, I should really snatch this up. And then of course I got sidetracked, distracted, and I ended up getting in on it, I guess this past Monday when it was at 11, almost 12. So you figure if it goes back up to 24.32, double or triple my money, not bad. But what's the ceiling? I think, what was it? Churchill Downs was like 98 at one point was the average or something like that. So it's like, I don't think it's going to get that high. So Just ride out the storm, I guess. So that's a no to Matt Harvey, I think. I'm not saying like slam the door, and never pick up his phone calls, but like keep your ear to the ground and maybe, I mean, that would be, in an ideal fantasy world, like they sign him when he's, fully back up to serviceable level for like a playoff push. But the big news is Thor tore his UCL. God damn it. And he's going to need Tommy John. So looks like that would put him out until probably next April, possibly into next summer. So I don't know. I mean, are we seeing have we seen the last of Noah Syndergaard? I don't know, because like didn't Wheeler have a Tommy John surgery, and didn't DeGrom have a Tommy John surgery? So it's not like a death knell. If anything, it actually it gives you a second life, I think. I don't know. I've never had Tommy John. I kind of wish I did have Tommy John, because it sounds like it's just a godsend for your arm. So what does that do? The rotation? What does that do? The bullpen? Well, we no longer have to worry about putting starters like Waka or Matz in the bullpen. I think now you can just put them in the starting rotation. So you have Stroman, DeGrom, Porcello, Waka, Matz. Which, I mean, I don't hate that rotation. I mean, I sound like a broken record, but the thing about Thor is like, yeah, he's dominant for like 5 innings, maybe 6, and then you have to rely on your bullpen anyway. So it's like, would you rather have 5 or 6 0-1 2-run ball, and then the guy you bring in the 6th or 7th gives up a run or 2? The guys you bring in the 6th and 7th give up a run or 2 or 3. What's the use? Meanwhile, you have Walker or Matz, and it's like maybe they give you 6 or 7, and they only give up 2 or 3 runs. You're saving a run or 2. So I don't know. Paul Sewald and Daniel Samora were optioned to AAA Syracuse. That leaves our bullpen with 7 arms. Edwin Diaz, Dylan Betances, Seth Lugo, Jurice Familia, Robert Gazelman, Justin Wilson, Brad Bratch. I like that bullpen. I mean, I know there's Lugo had the thing with the toe, and I mean, Familia's lost weight. Who knows where Gazelman is at right now? Wilson came on strong last year. Bratch was a good addition on the cheap. Diaz didn't look so great, so hot at the beginning of spring training, but maybe this stay-at-home order, he's quarantined, and he can block out all the noise, meditate, get into a state of zen, and come out firing fucking gas. That'd be great. I like that bullpen. I mean, who knows? I know Betances is probably not at the top of his game. He had the injury last year. But if you get every single one of those guys to just play average baseball, to just pitch at the average, we're going to the playoffs. That's all you need. I mean, think about it. If Diaz was just average last year, we make the playoffs. And that's with, an inconsistent bullpen for majority of the year. I mean, they came down the stretch. They were pretty, they held their own. I think they were one of the better bullpens, but I really like that bullpen. It's just like, can everyone stay healthy? Can everyone just stay healthy? But I guess the bigger news is like the fact that MLB has decided that this year, even if they don't play the season, this is where, if you come to me for like accuracy, truth, facts, hate to let you down, but I'm not that guy. All I know is I heard that MLB like said, if this season is postponed or canceled, that these players will still be credited with a year of service, which means everyone that was supposed to be a free agent after this season will continue to be a free agent, right? So guys like Stroman, Cespedes, Lowry, Betances, Porcello, Ramos, Wilson, Waka, Marisnik, Brock, will enter free agency as they're scheduled. So even if they don't play this year at all, that counts as a year of service and they get to enter free agency, which that's, I think they're still paying them this year, but not full rate. I think I heard that as well. There's also the idea that they're going to try and play games in an empty stadium, which we all saw that happen when during the Baltimore riots when the Orioles played the Rangers back in, was it 2012, 2013, 2014 maybe? And they played an empty stadium. That was eerie. So I guess, I'm all right with playing an empty stadium. How about like, not to get off topic, it's somewhat related, but the WWE just continuing to wrestle? Like, I feel like if there's any sport that probably should be discontinued, it's wrestling. When it comes to coronavirus, I mean, that's all you're doing is touching each other, touching your face and rubbing your face all over the butt and the taint and all that jazz. How can you continue? It's like they're wrestling with no audience, which that is tough to watch. That's tough. It is funny too, because wrestling is so dependent on the pulse of the crowd and getting heat, generating heat. And, you get the crowd to pop, and that's just like not happening. I watched probably like 5 minutes of a match, and it was like a bunch of guys just yelling at each other and throwing each other around. I was like, what is this? It's like without the crowd, it's not exactly what is making all the sorority girls cream in their shorts. So baseball in an empty stadium, I don't know. I feel like in order to liven that up, you know how the XFL, it's like, all right, the level of play was, I guess, slightly better than the AAF, whatever the hell that was last year. So the level of play is like similar, maybe a little bit better, but like the broadcasts were better because they just got better broadcasters who brought more to the game. I think they should just start fucking experimenting with broadcasters on these games that are played in empty stadiums. Someone like Pat McAfee, just bring him in, bring back Dennis Miller for Christ's sake. Who gives a shit? Just bring all kinds of different personalities in the booth and really have fun with it. I don't know. I feel like that's the way to go. But July 4th as the start date. Ooh, brother. I don't know how. Although, how lit will July 4th be? If that's actually when this whole thing is able to blow over more, that's like week 1 of just like the return to normalcy, like the quarantine's over, the lockdown's over, and we're pretty sure the virus is donezo. July 4th, not a bad time to celebrate. Freedom! Oh my God, freedom, baseball, outside, grilling. Might go down as the best 4th of July ever? ? Forefathers. All right, so Anthony DiComo, he He writes for MLB.com. He gave his ranking of the top 5 Mets first basemen of all time in franchise history. Number 5, he had Pete Alonso, which was, whoa, dude. 1 season under his belt, and Alonso locks down number 5 all time. That is saying something. And I wonder if, I kind of already know the answer here, but if I knew if it were me and I go out there rookie year and I pop off record number of home runs for not only a rookie, but Mets franchise history and blah, 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 isn't the pressure increased for your second year, for the second year back? You come back and it's like, are people expecting you to hit another fucking 50 home runs? No, right? I mean, I know I'm not. I'd be happy with, I would say 20 would be slightly disappointing. I think if he hits lower than 20, that's probably a huge disappointment. This is, of course, over the 162 game season, which is not going to happen. So just, fucking ballpark it, whatever it is, whatever it correlates to that ratio, whatever the proportion is. But I'd say, over 162, if he hits less than 20, you got to be like, whoa, what happened here? Like, are we in another fucking Brady Anderson, Chris Davis situation? 20 to 30, I think between 20 and 25, I'd be a little, but that's okay. That's all right. 25 to 30, I think that's right where he will be. If he hits a little more than 30, I'd be like, wow. If he hits 35 or more, it's kind of like, it's a little scary. I get a little fear boner popping off in my pants, my pantalones, because we've got a certified. I mean, I was willing to sign this guy to like the longest of long-term contracts last year after what he did. And if he does it, if he pops off for another 35 this year, it's like, just lock him down forever. So he's at number 5. So DiComo mentioned like it's a bold move to put him at number 5, but you look at the other candidates and you have, I guess Lucas Duda is probably the number 1 omission. Duda was, I fell in love with the Duda. The Duda abides. Like, I fucking love Lucas. I loved everything about him. And California guy who's just kind of mild-mannered and just had a sweet swing. And unfortunately will probably be remembered for the 1 throw. Which stinks because he had to battle. Ike Davis had the first base pretty much locked up, and then he went to a kind of a slump, and Lucas came on. He had to play right field for a while. He endured a slump. I think he had to go down to the minors for a little bit, so he had his struggles up and down. But like, man, there were times where he would rip the ball. I mean, seams busted, and it just looked good to watch. And especially if you're at the game and you can hear it, the crack of the bat. I mean, he just like, he would put holes in fences. So dude is a tough omission, but like, I don't know that you can argue with fucking Alonso, man. Everything that he did and in 1 season just overrules all those seasons with Duda and Ike Davis. Which a lot of people were in love with Ike Davis too. Number 4 was Carlos Delgado, who the Mets acquired at the ripe old age of 33, and he put up 3 really solid numbers for a first baseman. Power numbers, ribeyes. I mean, that 2006, 2007, 2008, those teams, it boggles my mind how we didn't win a freaking World Series in those 3 years. Ugh. Oh, boy. It's tough to swallow. And it's been fucking 12 years at least. Okay. But yeah, that's another guy where it's just like the ball, he was different from Duda. Duda, it's just like, it was just, you could tell he just crushed the ball right off the bat. It was just like the swing is so massive and hard. and the ball would just take off. With Delgado, he would hit the ball, and you'd be like, that's like, from watching on TV, you think, oh, it's a pop out, it's a fly ball, it's a fly out. But the way that Gary Cohen reacts, it's just like, that is long gone. It's just like, wow. So the power on Delgado, just amazing. Number 3 is John Olerud, and it's bittersweet seeing his name on the list because he was a guy that I really liked. And I know he caught a lot of shit for, wearing his helmet at first. I know Ricky Henderson, when he joined the Mets, made fun of him. But my God, he was such a good hitter. He was pretty good at first, too. Highest qualified batting average and on-base percentage in Mets history pound for pound. Olerud was the most effective first baseman in Mets history. Hit .354 in 98 and finished 12th in MVP voting. His batting average was .315. On-base percentage was .425. Yeah, I mean, he joined 97 and was there in 98 and 99. And then he went to Seattle in 2000, which stinks because if we had him in 2000, would have been nice. Would have been real nice. Nothing against like Todd Zeal. But if we had Olerud, Ventura, Alfonso, Piazza, that's a sweet lineup. So I liked his swing too. He had a nice swing. But you forget, like, he also hit for a little power too. He had like 22 ding dongs, 93 RBIs in 1 year. So, didn't miss a game, I think, in 98, something like that. So Johnny O. I guess he was there with Seattle when they had like the world's best regular season record, 108 wins or something like that, and they lost the Yankees in the playoffs. Puh. But yeah, Olerud, solid dude. Number 2, they had Ed Kranepool, who holds the Mets record for most games played, 1,853 games, which that's definitely more than 10 years of service. He hit over 300 only twice, and he eclipsed 15 homers just once. So that's like the definition of just like, I'm going to do the bare minimum to keep my starting job. It was also back in like the 60s and 70s where it's like, I don't think free agency was a big thing. I think you only got traded if like people like despised you or if you wanted out. But like Kranepool seems like just a likable guy who's just like, yeah, I'm cool here at first, batting .250 and hitting a dozen home runs a year. That's cool with you guys. And the Mets were like, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, it didn't hurt that he had come up with some clutch hits during the 69 World Series. Was he around for the 73 World Series? I guess, yeah. But that was before my time, so I can't speak much to him. Know the name, haven't seen him play a whole lot, but that's going to be tough to beat. I guess David Wright would have been the closest if he had actually stayed healthy all those years. And then, of course, number 1, Keith Hernandez. 11 Gold Glove awards, most all-time by a first baseman, 8th most by a player of any position. He's inducted in the Mets Hall of Fame in 1997 and is not in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. What a load of malarkey, as Mr. Biden would say. So that's the Mets. Oh, man, Keith Hernandez. God damn. How do you get, why not? Why not? Why not? What is missing from his repertoire that you wouldn't put him in the Hall of Fame? I mean, I assume it's I'm biased because he's been in the Mets booth for so long now that we've got to know him that way, and he's provided so many great moments in the booth that, like, if you took away the booth, would people still remember him and would he still be famous? And it's like, well, he was on Seinfeld. Take that away. It's like, well, yeah. You take all that stuff away, but I don't know. You just have to, I guess you just have to rely on his stats on the field. But I mean, I don't think the Mets win the pennant, the World Series at all. Any of those years if Hernandez is not in the lineup. So, And if you haven't watched I Am Keith Hernandez, we used to watch it on DVD, digital video disc, back in the mid to late aughts. And that is a hell of a ride. It is like it's a completely fictitious documentary about Keith Hernandez, but it is hilarious. And I wonder if it's online. I should probably look that up. So that's the Mets. I mean, my fucking nose. Woo-wee. I don't even know what to say about the Mets at this point. I don't even know if we're gonna have a season. If we do, the stupid video game simulation that's going on has the Marlins at 6-1 atop the NFC East. Football brain. NL East. The Marlins 6-1, top of the division. So yeah. And the Mets are 2-5 was their record the last time I checked. They were like next to last. I guess the Phillies were dead last or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, it's a video game simulation. How seriously can you take it? Right. But I wouldn't be shocked if they did start the season like that, and then turned it on. It always seems like we do okay in April. I think we do really well in April. Not as good in May, and then June, July we just bottom out, and then August, September we usually turn it back on, if we do turn it back on. So very curious to see how that pans out. So let's talk Giants. Before we delve into free agency and the draft and all that, I wanted to talk about a few items on my list. On my set list. First one is the NFL is expanding the playoff format to 14 teams, so 7 teams per conference. And that got me thinking, looking back on Giants teams of yore, Giants teams of previous years, which teams would have made the playoffs and possibly gone far in the playoffs? Because, it's a whole new ball game once you get in the postseason. We've seen that multiple times now, especially specifically with the Giants, 07 and 11, Packers in 2010. So I wrote a very lengthy blog post about this. The 6 Giants teams that would have or could have or made the playoffs under the new format, or would have had a shot at making the playoffs in the new format. There were 6 teams that came up with, to be honest, for being frank, there's probably only like 2 or 3 that would have made it. But I was like, it would be nice to just reminisce about the teams that had potential and were so close to being there, but just couldn't pull it off. So you can read that blog post probably tomorrow. I'll get it published tomorrow, hopefully. Today's the 2nd of April, 2020. So Friday, April 3rd, possibly. I don't want to spoil anything. So maybe I'll talk about that next week once the post is actually published and we get some fucking eyeballs on that shit. I will say, though, it is interesting. There were 2 teams. There's one team in particular that I thought, if there was a 7-team playoff format from the NFC, the Giants would have made it, and they probably would have made a good run. Just based on how they played the teams in the playoffs that year in the regular season, and just knowing how Coughlin prepared them for 2007. 2008 was kind of a fluke in my mind, but I guess I kind of gave it away just then. But it is interesting to see like the opportunities that were there that were squandered. And I really do think that, we're at 4 Super Bowls now. I think if it had been a 7-team format, we probably could have won 2 more. Throwing that out there. Well, 1 more. I'll say 1 more. 2 more is a bit extra. But speaking of teams, a team that did make the playoffs and did win the Super Bowl, the 1986 Giants. It's the team that really basically sold me on the Giants as a lifelong addiction, obsession, fascination, infatuation, adoration. I don't know why it's turned into a men's cologne commercial. I don't know. But the 86 Giants that was what did it for me for this franchise. That's what turned me on, and that's what I've not been able to turn off. But here's something that I just cannot wrap my fucking head around. The fact that Pro Football Reference came out with the top 100 NFL teams of all time based on rankings. I don't know. Their internal rankings, however their methodology was, I don't know. And Yahoo Sports came out with a best teams ever bracket series, one per sport. So Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, blah, blah. The 86 Giants, if I were to tell you, hey, what do you think the 86 Giants would place on Pro Football Reference's top 100 NFL teams of all time? What would you say? Would you believe me if I told you they're 12th? I find that to be like mind-boggling. And I know I'm a diehard fan. I know I'm biased and I'm partial, but holy shit, man. I mean, the team went 14-2. 3 playoff wins, decisive playoff wins. They crushed the 49ers. They shut out the Redskins, and they stuck it to the Broncos. Yes, they were down for a little bit in the first half, but they came back with a vengeance and put it away big time to the tune of almost 20 points, 3 scores. And they're in their 12th. Take a gander at the fucking 11 teams that are ahead of them. 72 Dolphins. Yeah, I get it. They're undefeated, whatever. I mean, they only played 14 games. That's noteworthy. 85 Bears. I totally agree with that at number 2. I mean, they I actually just watched part of the 30 for 30 about the 85 Bears, and man, that bunch. Yo. Tough as fucking nails, dude. 78 Steelers, yeah, sure, all right. 84 49ers, okay. 89 Niners, okay. I mean, yeah, they really stuck it to the Broncos, I guess, in the playoffs. The 92 Cowboys. Okay, so Dolphins 14-0, Bears 15-1. Both of those teams ran the playoffs, 3 playoff wins, championship. Steelers 78 Steelers 14-2. 89 Niners 15-1. Yeah, I mean, sorry, the 84 Niners. Yeah, they were real good. The 89 Niners 14-2. 92 Cowboys 13-3. I mean, go fuck yourself. 2007 Patriots 18. Yeah, I mean, essentially 18-1. One giant loss. Holla. I just don't know. I mean, you could say that Giants Super Bowl win was lucky. Okay, helmet catch, I get it. Whatever, blah, blah. Samuel drops the interception. Maybe they called holding on the helmet catch play. Blah, 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 blah. Fact of the matter is, they lost. Sucks they lost. They could have probably got that loss out of the way in the regular season, won the championship, and I'd say, okay, yeah. Give them the 15-1 in the 7th place, but 16-0 and lose to the Giants, who were shit-tastic according to a lot of people that year. I don't know. You can put them at 7. 76 Raiders were 13-1. Again, the 14 games, I can't really credit. I feel like you got to be discounted or discredited for that. I mean, it's nothing against them, but there are other teams that played more games, and that's just how you have to weight it. 62 Packers, 13-1. Go fuck yourself. I mean, 13-1 and like 1 playoff win. Get the hell out of my top 10, dude. 75 Steelers, 12-2. Again, 14 game season. So, I guess I'm okay with those 14-game seasons, but they need to be pushed down the list. Next up, the 99 Rams, which, the greatest show on turf. I mean, they were 13-3, and they won the Super Bowl, but almost lost the Super Bowl. So I wonder if like, say, what's his face? So McNair hits, was it Dyson? And Dyson actually gets in, and the Titans win. Rams are not at 11, that's for sure, right? Rams fall down a couple spots. And then you have the 86 Giants at 12, 14-2. I just don't get it. How are they behind the 99 Rams? How are they behind the 75 Steelers? How are they behind the 62 Packers, the 76 Raiders, and the 07 Patriots? I would even say the 92 Cowboys. I would put the Giants at 6. Dolphins, 72 Dolphins, 85 Bears, 78 Steelers, 84 Niners, 89 Niners, 86 Giants. 92 Cowboys can go take a long walk, short pier. I just like that really bothered me. And then to also additionally on top of that, to go to the Yahoo best NFL teams ever bracket. So there's 16 teams there that they picked. 86 Giants didn't make the cut. And it's just like, what are we even doing? Why even have this? I don't understand. I guess maybe you could say it was a soft schedule. Maybe you could say that they needed come from behind him victories against teams that did not make the playoffs, non-playoff teams. But the good, great teams, win games that they play bad. Does that make sense? They still find a way to win ugly games. I don't know. So it just I don't know, gets under my skin. And then the 90 Giants were like, I don't even know where the 90 Giants were. They were farther down, but yeah, 86 Giants. I mean, I tweeted about this, and I hope it gets some love because, I mean, yeah, I guess they weren't like that flashy. The defense was just unstoppable. Lawrence Taylor, Harry Carson, Carl Banks, Gary Reasons. I don't know if Pepper Johnson was there yet. Was he there? He might have been. Terry Kennard, Elvis Patterson, Perry Williams, Leonard Marshall, Jim Burt, Phil Simms, Phil McConkey, Joe Morris, Maurice Carthon, Mark Bavaro, Zeke Mowat, Bart Oates, Bill Ard, Stacey Manuel, Stacey Robinson, Bobby Johnson. I mean, it's just a team that was just put it all together at the right time and started the whole Gatorade bath celebration. I mean, do we not get any points for that? What the fuck? So kind of, I don't understand the opposition to it. I'd love to know their methodology and figure out like, where did they fall short? Was it strength of schedule, strength of victory? I mean, they steamrolled just about everyone. Yay. PFR also released their top 100 NFL games of all time. And the Giants, so top 100 games. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Giants games. 10, 11. 11 games out of the 100 are Giants games. And they're not all wins, folks. I just want to put that out there. But the majority of them are wins. Coming at number 88, December 19th, 2010. Yep. It's going to be hard to say it, but week 15, Eagles, Giants at MetLife. Miracle at the New Meadowlands. Like, MATM 2. I was at that game, and and I've told this story a million times, but it's bears repeating. My cousin was there, and at halftime, we were up big. And I remember meeting him on the Esplanade Promenade and saying to him, print the motherfucking tickets. We're going to the Super Bowl. And then it just all went to shit afterwards. And then I had to ride a train home with a fucking Eagles fan friend, who just smirking and smiling and giggling and laughing and hardly saying pretty much anything, just smiling and giggling and laughing the entire time. And just little one-liners every so often just to let me know, still thinking about it, still can't believe it. So that comes in at number 88 on the top 100 NFL games of all time. Number 70, January 2nd, 1994. This was week 18 of the 93 season. That's when they had 18 weeks with 2 byes. Cowboys at Giants Stadium, the old Giants Stadium. Emmitt Smith fucking dislocated his shoulder, separated his shoulder, and still played. And he helped the Cowboys clinch the top spot, which really sealed the Giants' fate. I think if they had won that game and got a bye, that maybe they would have done some damage. But the fact that they had to play that game, which was so high intensity and meant so much was on the line, division titles on the line. And did it go to overtime? I think it might have gone to overtime. And then not coming out with the win, being deflated and having to fly to fucking San Francisco to face the goddamn 49ers. Can you imagine if we win that game? What happens then? That's a good what if. I might actually write a blog post about that. What if the 93 Giants had won that game? Because then what happens? I mean, Emmitt Smith gets an extra week to recover from a separated shoulder. If they lose, he has to go. Maybe he doesn't play in that wild card game. Maybe they lose because he's not in the game. The Giants get a bye, and then they get to host, right? Maybe? Or am I thinking? I think they get a bye. I have to look into it, but I would assume that they would have got a bye, and then they would have hosted the divisional round, which all bets are off at that point. But if the Cowboys lose that game, I think that then they have to go travel somewhere to play in the wildcard game without Emmitt Smith. So, I mean, kudos to Emmitt Smith. I remember watching that game and thinking, how the fuck is this guy doing it? Coming at number 62, this is December 1934, the 1934 NFL Championship. It was the sneakers game with the Giants. I think the Giants beat the Bears here. I remember watching this on one of the old school VHS cassettes about Giants history, how they just switched to sneakers midway through the game and they just ran away with it. Coming in at number 54, 2007 NFC Championship where the Giants advanced to the Super Bowl. And Tom Coughlin's face almost fell off. And Lawrence Tynes defied his coach and ran on the field when he had already missed, I think, 2 kicks at that point. I almost put so much money on the fact that he was going to miss the 3rd time or miss the kick that he clinched. So glad he didn't miss. Coming in at number 51. This is another Giants-Bears game from a year earlier, 1933. The first scheduled NFL championship game. All right. I mean, why are you putting that at 51? Jesus. I think the Bears won that one. At 48, we have the first miracle at the Meadowlands. God damn it. History repeats itself, eh? So we should expect, what is it, 78 to 2010. So that's 32. So we can expect another fucking miracle in 2042. Excellent. 39. Coming at 39, this was another fucking heartbreaker. Maybe I was wrong about the fact that the majority were wins. The 2002 NFC wildcard game, Giants were up 24 points. And I thought, we are going to the goddamn Super Bowl. And then I watched it slowly melt away. Shockey drops a pass in the end zone that would have fucking put the dagger through the heart, nail in the coffin. And it's like, oh, well. Got Strahan pointing at the scoreboard when Owens is celebrating. And it's just all all went to shit. But there was another blog post I meant to do where Tiki went on the Turf and Surf podcast, which I guess is now the Going Deep podcast from Barstool, hosted by Stephen Shea and Willie Colon. And they were talking about, this nose don't quit. All right. And Tiki was saying that like he was pretty certain that if they got past the Niners, which they should have, that they would have steamrolled the Buccaneers. Ugh. I mean, the Buccaneers went and won the Super Bowl that year pretty handedly over the Raiders. Of course, the Raiders had some issues before the Super Bowl that kind of affected their gameplay, but bold words. And Tiki's like, never one who's not saying, I mean, he comes correct. He fucking has hot takes at the ass. So, he probably was just, that's another case of Tiki being Tiki, but I want to investigate a little bit and see if he would have been right. Number 25, this is January 20th, 1981. This is the 1990 NFC Championship where the Giants break up the 49ers dynasty, at least the Joe Montana 49ers dynasty. And then number 10 was the Super Bowl 25, against the Bills, wide right, which, yeah, I mean, we got lucky on that one. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I prayed my dick off. My little 10-year-old me was praying his little balls off that he would miss that kick, and he did. And I think I've been paying for it ever since. It's like if I knew I was wasting my prayer on that one, I don't know if I would have. I might have taken it back. No offense. Number 5 is Super Bowl 42. This was the first Super Bowl, Tyree's helmet catch. Which, yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic game. I mean, I was so hyped that entire game. I was with all my buddies down in the Red Bank area watching at our buddy's house, and we were very, very intoxicated, but I remember everything. Alicia Keys. Wow. Yeah, we had Jets friends there that were, loving every minute of it. So, I mean, it was like every first down we were going bananas. And then number 1 is the greatest game ever played, quote unquote. This is the Giants and Colts, which I've seen highlights and I've seen clips, and I'm just sitting here going, that's a pretty big label to put on this game. And maybe I really need to sit down. I think I might be able to watch it on YouTube, maybe not. But I really want to sit down and watch the entire game and just figure out why I got that label. I mean, I know it went to overtime and whatnot, but and it's not because the Giants lost. I'm not bitter. I mean, it's like what, 20, oh my God, 22 years before I was born. So if you're wondering how many Jets games are on that list, I think there was 1. So in your fucking face, Jets fans. I'm not one to come at you, but I do have a Jets fan friend who comes at me, and the Giants fan base in particular. And he just can't, accept the fact that the Giants are a better franchise. So in your fucking face, 1 goddamn Jets game on the top 100 NFL games of all time in your face. Might have been more than 1. Definitely not 11 though. They also, PFR had their top 100 NFL players of all time. And as far as I can tell, and I'm probably not a great fan for not knowing this or recognizing this, but I see 4 Giants on the list. Yeah, Emlyn Tunnell, played 11 years for the Giants, 130 games. You have Lawrence Taylor, played 184 games, 132.5 sacks, probably more than that because they only started registering sacks in 82, I think, and his first season was 81. Mel Hine, a center, which that is, it's weird when they put players like that on the list from like the 20s and 30s. No offense, but come on. Did they even throw the ball then? I don't know. It's like they played 7 games and I think there was a total of like 4 points all season. It's just like, but one of the greatest players of all time. I don't know. And then Rosie Brown at left tackle, 162 games. Oh, just seeing that number makes me yearn for drafting a left tackle. We'll get to that in a little bit. But first, let's talk free agency. It's in full swing. Of course, Tom Brady went to the Bucs. People lost their minds. There's rumors that he wants AB there, but then we saw Antonio Brown working out with the Ravens, which I'll be honest, that seems like a good fit. I'll let you read into that as you will. But Antonio Brown with the Ravens, yeah, it seems like a match made in hell or heaven. I will say this: when the Ravens fans probably hear that and think, oh, like, I don't like the Ravens. No, I mean, the Ravens are like, when the Ravens play pretty much anyone, I will pull for the Ravens. Ravens versus Steelers. I'm on the Ravens side of history in that rivalry. Ravens Patriots, Ravens side of history. And I'm sure my Patriots friend is not happy to hear that, but something about them Ravens. They're just so like, oof, gruesome and I don't know. I can't find the word for it. Nefarious? No, that's not it. Darius Slay went to the Eagles, which stinks, I guess. I just kind of think that they probably overpaid for him. And I mean, they did lose Malcolm Jenkins and Nelson Aguilar, which I don't think Aguilar is a huge loss. Malcolm Jenkins is a huge loss, I think, because he was such a leader in that clubhouse. And Darius Slay, he has issues with Matt Patricia. I don't think Doug Peterson is anything like Patricia, so I think Slay will probably enjoy his time more in Philly. I think he's on the decline, and I think the Giants are going to have their way with him. We also placed a franchise tag on Leonard Williams, $17 million. He's the first Giants player to receive a tag since Jason Pierre-Paul in 2015. We all know how that worked out. Hopefully no one lets Leo near any fucking fireworks this offseason. Vincent Rapasardi, I know I quote him probably at least once an episode. He said that Leonard Williams was tied for 8th among all defensive players in quarterback knockdowns last season with 14, second among interior defensive linemen. And this stat measures the QB hitting the ground after the throw. So, yeah, I mean, he knocks the quarterback to the ground, which, I'd rather have that than a hurry. It goes sacks, then hits, then hurries, I guess is how you would rank it. So that's good. I just know, looking through a bunch of statistics from Giants defenses of yesteryear that were good, it seemed like we always had a guy in mid to high double digit sacks. And there was a couple of years where it's not just QB hits, it's QB hits and sacks. And that's where Williams is kind of lacking. He's got the QB hits, doesn't have the sacks. So, I really think that I don't mind the franchise tag. I think you got to give him a full season in a Giants uniform to figure out what the fuck's going on, especially knowing full well that you weren't getting what you wanted out of Betcher. And then maybe Betcher wasn't putting the best effort forward, best strategy, best scheme out there on the field. Give him a season with Patrick Graham. See what happens there. Maybe Graham cooks up something special. And at the very least, Graham will be able to devise something that allows Williams to occupy a blocker or two and free up the linebackers to do some damage. That sounds pretty cool. He's a big guy and he attracts a lot of attention. So if he's going to get double teamed, something's got to open up somewhere. Corey Coleman's coming back, which I'm fine with that. 1-year deal. I think same kind of boat as Williams. Prove it deal. 1-year prove it deal. What do you got? Tore the ACL. I think in the limited time that he played in 2018, returning kicks, he looked good. There was a game or two where he looked like a legitimate deep threat. So we need someone to stretch the field, and I don't think I think Shep can occasionally pop off for a big one here or there. Golden Tate, maybe. I mean, Slayton, obviously, he showed that he can go deep. So I like that we have a bunch of guys that can stretch the field now, and not just this rinky-dink, hitch and slant garbage that we used to run with fucking Odell all the time. And it's like, okay. Cody Core is coming back, special teamer. I know Joe Judge, former special teams coach, so he probably values, I wouldn't maybe go so far as to say overvalues special team guys, but the more awesome special teams guys you put together, the less you have to worry about special teams and focus on the other units. And, I outside of, obviously Zach, had his issues last year snapping, and that affected Rosas, but Riley Dixon is solid. Glad they gave him an extension, gave him his money, because he's worth every penny. I mean, he puts the ball inside the 5 more times than he doesn't. And that is in large part due to guys like Cody Core. So we did lose Antonio Hamilton, who is another gunner who, I kind of had my issues with here and there. I mean, he would get torched at corner, and he did make, I think, 1 or 2 bonehead plays from the gunner position, but it's nice that we have Cody Core. We also signed Nate Ebner, who's a safety, special teamer who played under Judge for a long ass time there in New England. 1 year, $2 million, played 10 special teams tackles in 6 of his last 8 seasons. Only player to participate in the Olympics and with an NFL championship in the same year. So, and you'll find that's a common theme among the free agents that we did sign, is that there's postseason experience, postseason success, which, it's valuable. You need it. Eli Penny's coming back, which I'm a big fan of Eli Penny. I thought that he should have saw more carries, more attention, more playing time, more snaps. Hopefully they'll be able to work him in more now. David Mayo is coming back, which I'm completely on board with. I think he showed more than enough last year. I mean, they picked him off the scrap heap from San Francisco at the beginning of the season. He filled in when Connolly went down, and he did okay. He wasn't a huge, massive liability, and he had some actually standout games. So 3 years, $8.4 million. That's totally worth it to provide depth at linebacker. He finished the second on the team in tackles, 5th round draft choice by none other than Dave Gettleman. So we have a 2nd round tender for Rosas. So he's free to negotiate with any club because he's a restricted free agent. And if he signs an offer sheet, the Giants can match it. So we have right of first refusal. But if he does sign with another team, we get a draft choice compensation depending on how he plays. So honestly, I wouldn't mind getting a draft pick out of seeing him go. I mean, he's 3 seasons as the main kicker, stunk in 17, awesome in 18, stunk in 19. And I guess you could partially put the blame on him for 19, but because people were saying that the snaps and Dixon had to be Superman to get the holds down and whatnot. His 32 field goals in 2018 are the fifth highest total in Giants history. Rosas' 97 field goal percentage is a Giants record in 2018. So it's like, what happened? What's going on there? So I participated in a mock draft simulator, and I almost always picked a kicker in the 7th round every single time I did it, because I was like, you got to bring someone in to put some pressure on him to perform, or else it's like, what's the point? So the free agents we did sign, the 3 main takeaways that Big Blue View pointed out were short-term front-loaded contracts, spending big on defense, under valued depth signings, which, you know, I don't think they're very flashy or splashy, these signings, but they address positions of need with players who I think they might have probably overpaid for a little bit, but will provide you with reasonable value. Are they going to fulfill the value of their contract? Probably not, but it's not going to be like a bust. You know, I think if you look back at the Alec Ogletree trade, you'll be like, well, we probably lost that trade. Like, it didn't really pan out. But I don't see that happening with these players. So the first off is Panthers corner James Bradbury, who was kind of surprised that he was actually signed by the Giants, even though he was drafted by Gettleman in the second round in 2016. He started every game he played for the Panthers and tied Luke Kuechly with a team-high 12 passes defended. He's the fourth consecutive season he led the Panthers in passes defended. Next Gen Stats says that Bradbury has been one of the most consistent corners at creating tight windows with a separation of less than 1. I assume that means yard since the entering the NFL in 2016. So no one's describing him as a lockdown corner, but he does not provide a lot of room to complete a pass. It's like, well, I prefer that than, you know, the 3 yards of separation that pretty much everyone in the secondary last year was giving opposing receivers. His 29% of targets trails only Casey Hayward and Darius Slay, both at 31% in tight window target rate in that span. I mean, who comes up with these fucking statistics, right, dude? Jesus. But still, it's good company. Casey Hayward and Darius Slay. I know I just talk shit about Slay, but I mean, historically, Slay has been good. I just think he's peaked. And he's now on the slippity slide downhill. PFF said that James Bradbury's highest graded season came to his rookie year with a 69.5. Best game of his career came in week 1 of 2019 with a 91.7 coverage grade, interception, and pass breakup of 4 targets. So PFF break out the umbrellas because they love to rain on the parade with their fucking weird grades. I'll tell you this. You know, we basically followed PFF's grades when we spent big last go around 2016. Snacks Harrison was ranked the highest interior defensive lineman. We signed him. Jackrabbit had one of the highest PFF grades of that free agent class. We signed him. Olivier Vernon, PFF was gushing over him because of his monster second half. We signed him. What happens? I mean, you know, we traded 2 and we released 1 we probably should have traded him and we didn't get anything back for him. Vernon just got released by the Browns and fucking Snacks just got released by the Lions. And who knows what's going to happen with Jenkins. Is he going back to the Saints? I don't know. I think I heard that he was going back to the Saints, but you know, I mean, he fits right in there in New Orleans. I don't know how anyone, you know, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. It just seems like a good fit. Don't read too deep into that shit. And this is the guy that I probably like the most out of all the signings that we had in free agency. Blake Martinez. I was huge and high on this guy out of Stanford in 2016. I thought the Giants should have drafted him and he would have provided the spark in the interior at the linebacker position that we haven't had since Antonio Pierce, the stability, the consistency. He's 6'2", 237. They signed him for 3 years, $30.7 million, which that's the common theme when you keep seeing with these free agent signings. Not a lot of 5-year deals, 4-year deals being handed out. It's like 3 years seems to be the max. And I think that's the point is, and it really, I think it focuses around Saquon. It's like Saquon is going to be a free agent probably in after 2021 or in 2021. Wait, 22, 29, 20, 21. So after the 2021 season, he's a free agent. So if you're thinking, if you're signing these free agents for 3 years, so it's 2020, 2021, which is the last year of Saquon's contract. And then most likely they're going to probably try and put the tag on Saquon if they can't work out a long-term deal in 2022. From what I've heard from all these beat reporters, and I know you can't like trust them as far as you can throw them or whatever, because they'll say whatever they want to get, clicks and whatever. But it feels like they're really going to try and make Saquon the face of the franchise and make him a lifelong Giant. And they should. I wish they would. Because it's not the same situation as Odell. I mean, even take a look at Odell. I mean, Odell was considered problematic, a distraction, blah, blah, and they still threw a lot of money at him, and he still came back that season and still was a circus act. I mean, it didn't help he got hurt and was injured a lot of the time, but you don't see that happening with Saquon. So I think they're more than willing to shell out dollars for him. But I don't know that they'll get it worked out right away. It seems like it's going to be a Leonard Williams situation, so they'll probably have to tag him in 2022. So that's why you're seeing these 3-year contracts, because in Gettleman's eyes, it's like, in Gettleman's eyes, he thinks it's going to be 3 years where they can be a contender while they still have Saquon. So why sign guys for 5 years when it's like it's probably going to all blow up after 3 years if it doesn't work out? But the thing is, like, Gettleman's, this is the make or break year for Gettleman. But then it's, we keep going back to this. Like, so it's playoffs or bust? Like, if he goes 9-7 and misses the playoffs, are we ditching him? I think if we went 8 or 9-7, a lot of people would be like, it's a step in the right direction. It's better than we've been. We haven't been 8 or 9-7 with the exception of 2016. So it's like, I don't know how much leash they're going to give him. Obviously, if he has a losing record, if he goes 7-9, I don't know. Anyway, Blake Martinez. This is the dude that I really liked. I wanted the Giants to draft in 2016. They didn't. I was pissed. He led the Packers in tackles each of the last 3 years. Started every single one of the Packers' 50 regular season games and postseason games. He had a pretty awesome quote about Patrick Graham. He gave some insight because Patrick Graham was the linebackers coach in Green Bay. So he coached Blake Martinez and the next guy we're going to talk about, Kyler Fackrell. But this is a quote from Blake Martinez. Just from understanding Pat and what he is looking for and how he put forth certain things in Coach Patine's defense, I think it's just the aggressive nature. Everyone working together, everyone on the same page, everyone communicating, everyone is going to know exactly where to be and what to do on every given call. That's not going to be much, if any, mental errors at all. There's not going to be much, if any, mental errors at all. I know he stressed that a bunch. It almost sounds like Joe Judge right there. I read it and I think Joe Judge. So I think that's a really good fit. And so that's why I think Graham wanted Fackrell as well, because Fackrell had one of his best years with Graham as the linebackers coach. He's only 28. And when Graham was the DC, the LB coach with Green Bay, Fackrell had his most productive season, played in all 16 games, 7 starts, led the Packers with 10.5 sacks while contributing career-high 57 tackles. So maybe Graham can bring that out of him again. His 16.1% pressure rate on 193 rushes last season was better than Za'Darius and Preston Smith, per Next Gen Stats. Fackrell would have been third on Giants with 35 disruptions last year, and that was on 193 pass rush snaps. One less than Lorenzo Carter, who had 36 disruptions on 346 pass rush snaps. Yeah. So, that's a great signing. And that was only the 1-year contract, $4.6 million. Very low risk, but could prove very valuable. This is a signing that I'm a little on the fence about, but I could see it possibly working. Titans running back Deion Lewis. He was with Judge and the Patriots for those Super Bowls, played in 2 Super Bowls, played in all 16 regular season games for the 3rd consecutive season. 49ers tight end Lavin Tololololololo 6'8", 268. Played in 2 Super Bowls, one with the Niners last year and then one with the Falcons, I guess when they lost to the Patriots. That's a big ass target. And I think with the Giants signing Levine and bringing back Eric Tomlinson and having Caden Smith, I think they have one other tight end. They have like 6 tight ends on the roster or signed to contracts right now. So what does that mean for Evan Ingram? We'll get to that in a little bit. Redskins quarterback Colt McCoy signed for a year, $2.25 million. He's the only quarterback from the 2010 NFL draft class who's currently active, which 2010 does not feel that long ago, but it's 10 years ago. It's been a decade. But still very interesting that there's not one guy outside of McCoy who's active. He was the only quarterback in college to win at least 10 or more games in each of his 4 seasons, and he finished his collegiate career owning 47 school records. So I know that's college football, blah, blah, but he's showed up in a couple games and stunned some people. So a valuable backup. I guess did he play for Dallas too? Jason Garrett at one point? Probably, maybe not. I don't hate it. 1 year, 2.25. I don't hate it. But I would have liked to see us maybe throw a little money at someone who's had more consistent starting experience. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. We talked about Ebner. Next on the list is Titans D tackle Austin Johnson, 6'4", 314. And I guess he did not miss a game in any of the previous 3 seasons. So that seems to be another running theme among the guys that we signed as well, is that they just don't miss games. The best ability is availability. And, the Giants, you can see when they have down seasons, it's usually when the injury bug hits. So a lot of these guys, they don't get injured, and that's great. But I think the main takeaway with this guy is that he doesn't put up like crazy stats. I think he's 25, 26, but he played at Penn State. And I think there's that connection with Saquon went to Penn State. And I think maybe there's a connection there where he said, you got to get this guy. He's being underused in Tennessee and he'd be an asset here. But what does that mean? You franchise tag Leonard Williams. You bring in Austin Johnson. It's getting kind of crowded along that defensive line because you also have B.J. Hill, Dalvin Tomlinson, Dexter Lawrence. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys plus McIntosh, and I guess Chris Slayton is still on the ball club. So you get a lot of depth along the defensive line, and you can probably rotate them in and out, which is great. But does that also mean that one of those pieces gets traded? And so that's what we're going to get to in a little bit when we talk about the draft. Could there be one of these defensive linemen on the block? And then finally, Cowboys tackle Cam Fleming. He's a guy who played with the Patriots and the Cowboys. So it's like he's got the familiarity with Jason Garrett, our new offensive coordinator, and our new offensive line coach, who was the Cowboys line coach, Mark Colombo. He was also played with the Patriots where Joe Judge was. So I feel like Joe Judge and Jason Garrett and Mark Colombo arrived at the same time in the same room for a meeting, and they just all looked at each other and they just said, Cam Fleming? And then it was just like, boom, pull the trigger. Like, we all know this guy. We all know he's a tackle. Let's just sign him, scoop him up. So I guess the initial reports would be, first 4 seasons was the Patriots. He actually started 2 Super Bowls and played very well. And now the Giants have both starting tackles from the Patriots Super Bowl loss to the Eagles. Nate Solder and Cam Fleming. So 6'5", 320. 3 Super Bowl appearances. 1 year, $3.5 million. That's a good deal. It's probably right in line with Mike Remmer's money. I guess the initial reports are that Fleming will compete for the starting tackle position, but who's he competing with? Remmer's left. I guess Nick Gates would be the guy. I guess Gates didn't play that poorly down the stretch. He actually got some decent grades, not anything stellar, but that should be an interesting competition. But I still, and this is where we transition to the draft. Who do we go with at number 4? What should we prioritize in the draft? Should it be the linebacker and Isaiah Simmons, or should it be the offensive tackle, Jedrick Willis, Tristan Wirfs, Mekhi Becton? I think there's one more in there that I'm missing. Oh, man, this is like the question of the century that I've been kind of toiling over nonstop in my head. And I feel like every other hour I switch my answer. Because, I feel like they've addressed the linebacker position. You now have Ryan Connolly. Say he comes back and he's back to 100% strength. We lost him in September. It's got plenty of time to rehab and get back to full strength. And hopefully that doesn't happen again. But, Blake Martinez and Ryan Connolly, pretty good 2 starting inside linebackers with David Mayo backing up. Kyler Frackle on the edge, Lorenzo Carter, Zoe Carter. Should they bring back Marcus Golden? I feel like the linebacker position is not as much of a need as offensive tackle is. And I know we just talked about Fleming and saying that he's probably average dependable at the right tackle spot. You could probably slot him in. Are you super excited about that? Probably not, but maybe a nice little bridge gap until you find something next year. I don't know. These are tackles that I see the grades on them, and it's like these are you plug them in. It's a plug and play situation. Like you draft them, and they're your starter. So, like I said, I went through probably a dozen mock draft simulations, and I think what I like the most is trading down. And I know Gettleman doesn't trade down. He's never really been a huge proponent of that, and he's already throwing up smoke screens about how it's very dangerous and risky, but why not trade down? Because the offensive tackle that you want, there's 3 or 4 that you could go with and know that you could plug them in and they can start and play well. There's 3 or 4. So if you trade down to still within the top 10, you're going to get one of those guys, offensive tackle. And then you could trade up and get your linebacker. So you trade back, you probably get a high second rounder, and then you could trade back into the first round and get the linebacker you want. Sure, you don't get Isaiah Simmons, but there's been a lot of weirdness around Simmons. His grade is stellar. He's got over a 7 grade, which means that he's a Pro Bowler. I see all the statistics coming out on him, and it's just hard not to want to get him at 4. But then people are saying, is he going to fit in the system? Is he the right fit? You already have a guy like Jabril Peppers who's playing close to the line. You have Julian Love who's playing close to the line. And where does Simmons fit into that? You're going to put Simmons close to the line? So now it's you're almost playing a Buddy Ryan 4-6. I actually don't mind the prospect of that if we can pull it off. A 4-6 where it's just we're constantly putting pressure on the other team to throw the ball. I don't know that we have the secondary to keep up with that, but so the mock draft I saw from Walter Football, I'm just going to go over the mock draft from walterfootball.com, which is a site that I hold a lot of trust in. They have the Giants going with Simmons at 4, which I wouldn't be disappointed or hate that. It's if we go with Simmons, fine. But if we don't go with Simmons isn't the pick for us. I think you trade down, pick a no tackle, and then try and use one of the chips or assets that we have, which I'll get to in a little bit, to get back in the first round to get a playmaker at the linebacker position. But so Walter Football has Simmons at 4. They have Antoine Winfield Jr., a safety out of Minnesota, in round 2, which is interesting. And I don't hate that either, because I do think they need to address the safety position. I just didn't think that they would be that high because, say things don't work out, whatever, they don't get their guy. I weirdly have confidence in Peppers and Love back there. I don't know why. But, there was talk about Jeff Okudah at number 4. You plug him in and he's got a grade of over 7 comparable to Simmons. I think he has a better grade than Simmons. And so you don't even have to worry about the corner position anymore after you draft Okudah. What the hell you do with DeAndre Baker, I have no idea. I mean, legitimately, do you trade him or do you cut him? I mean, this dude, there are reports now saying that he was falling asleep in meetings last year. I mean, that shit's not going to fly with Joe Judge. I can't imagine him putting up with that. Although I do see Judge possibly taking him aside and really like talking to him and trying to work with him through it. But if he has that discussion with Baker and Baker still comes in and falls asleep or just can't act right, adios, muchacho. So that's round 2 with Winfield. Okwara, round 3, edge rusher from Notre Dame, which I think he's related to, was it Romeo Okwara, a guy that the Giants, I don't think they drafted him, but he was an undrafted free agent who showed flashes of potential, showed like really amazing abilities, and they just let him go. I think they either traded him or just let him walk. And he ended up doing fairly well, I think, with the Lions, but I could be wrong about that. So that would be interesting. And then they have the Walter Football has the Giants going edge rusher again in round 4, Curtis Weaver from Boise State. Yasir Durant, offensive tackle from Missouri in the following round, which and the note on him that they had was lots of physical presence and promise, but bad work ethic. And it's like, dude, I just don't think, and that's a situation where we'll have to see what Judge can get out of these guys. And I think that's the appeal of Joe Judge is like coaching up, which fucking Shermer and Betcher couldn't do. Or at least that's what it looked like they couldn't do. And I mean, judging by what they said in press conferences, they felt that the talent was lacking. They couldn't overcome it. Judge has gone the opposite route and said, it's not about, there's talent obviously, but there's a way to scheme to the talent. So, but still, I don't know. That seems like a red flag to me. Bad work ethic. Following around, they have Lamar Jackson, corner, Nebraska, which I've seen on a couple of mock drafts, which I don't hate. It's just getting super crowded in the secondary, and it means someone's on the outs. And I don't know if that's Grant Haley or Sam Beal. It just seems like there's a lot of young guys back there, and to throw another young guy into that mix who's just going to be another body, I don't know. I think he had a pretty good grade, though, Jackson. Next round, they have Raymond Calais, a running back from Louisiana Lafayette. This is a stupid move. I don't agree with this at all. I don't think you draft running back at all in this draft. I really don't. I think next year, yes, definitely. But because then you give him a year to kind of to get into the flow of things. Should Saquon be on the outs? But I think that's a wasted pick. I mean, we maybe this was put out before they signed Dion Lewis, but I mean, you now got Eli Penny, Barkley, Gallman, Dion Lewis. I don't know if they're bringing back Buck Allen, but they got a decent amount of running backs in the mix that you don't need that many running backs, and to waste a pick on it, it's like I don't agree with that. Next pick is Logan Wilson, a linebacker from Wyoming, which I will never get mad at drafting linebackers. And I know I've criticized Jerry Reese over the years for his selection of linebackers because he was so poor at it, but I just really think that obviously don't throw away a pick on a linebacker, but you can never have enough good average linebackers. The next one is Kendall Vildor, corner out of Georgia Southern. And they keep saying, like, oh, the Giants need depth in corner and the secondary need depth. And it's like, but we just need more bodies, especially low round bodies. Like, I could understand if you're like, okay, we need an infusion of talent ASAP. We'll draft Okudah at 4. I do not understand drafting corners in the 5th, 6th, day 3 corners. Don't get it. James Proche, wide receiver, SMU, is the last pick, which is befuddling because this is a very deep draft in terms of wide receivers. So I'd actually like to see the Giants, and I did this in a few mock drafts. I found myself always picking Chase Claypool. I believe that's his name, Chase Claypool, Notre Dame wide receiver. He had a grade of like 6.33 or something like that. So he could become a starter relatively quickly. And with Golden Tate's status somewhat uncertain after this year, unless he has a breakout year, the Giants do really well. It seems like they probably will move away from him. They need to have someone else. So that it would be Shep, Slayton, Claypool. I mean, it's a pretty good trio with Coleman kind of in the mix at 4. I don't hate that lineup. So I don't think they go Jerry Jeudy or CD Lamb with their first pick. I think that's a waste because they have so many other problem areas, linebacker, safety, offensive line. I don't see that being worth it. And I know there was a best player available type of approach for a long time, but like it can only get you so far. It can kind of screw you in the end. So I think save the wide receiver for 3rd, 4th, 5th, maybe round, but not 7th. That just seems like, I don't know, a waste. Unless it's a special teams kind of guy that can come in and replace Antonio Hamilton and be a gunner opposite Cody Core, then I'm like all for it. And so here's what I've been talking about. Here's where I think the Giants will find the most success in this draft, and I don't know that Gettleman has the chutzpah to pull it off, but I would love to see him. If he doesn't go Simmons at 4, which it sounds like the Giants are falling in love with Simmons, and why not? I mean, he's got everything. He's basically Saquon, the defensive version of Saquon. But either way, even if they do draft Simmons or they do trade down, I think they have 2 assets, and people have said this. I've heard rumblings, and I've seen it online. They have 2 assets that they can use to get back into the first round or at least the high second round to get another need position. So if they go linebacker at 4, it would be offensive lineman. If they trade down and get an offensive lineman, then they want to trade one of these players to get back in the first round or top of second round to get that playmaking linebacker. Evan Engram and Dalvin Tomlinson. These are 2 Giants who were part of Jerry Reese's last draft class in 2017. So there's that extra impetus for Gettleman to shed all the weight and all the fingerprints that Reese left on the franchise. That was like, it seems like it's been his modus operandi since day one. Is just like, I'm going to cut the fat, trim the fat. I'm going to get rid of any remnants of Jerry Reese in this organization. And Evan Engram and Tomlinson, outside of maybe Sterling Shepard, are like the last remaining pieces of Jerry Reese. So at this point, and I know I said this after the Redskins game last year, or the first Redskins game, I was like, sign Evan Engram to a long-term contract. He's worth it. Look how he interacts with his teammates and how the energy he brings and how he's gotten better at blocking, blah, blah. And I know I said all that, but I think you get more out of him in a trade than you do with him on the team, because you have Caden Smith and Eric Tomlinson and Levine. I mean, you got all these guys. I know Rhett Ellison's gone, but you have CJ Conrad, Garrett Dickerson. You have 5 or 6 guys that are probably better at blocking. Obviously not playmakers are as good enough catching the football and running away from people, which I've always been I've always been flabbergasted by how Ingram can just pull away from people. It's a thing of beauty to watch. But that said, you could probably jump up in the draft if you trade him away, and you can get that other position of need. And then the other piece, Dalvin Tomlinson. I mean, we talked about it earlier when discussing Leonard Williams and Austin Johnson. You bring Leonard Williams in when it was already in my mind, a pretty solid defensive front with Hill, Tomlinson, Lawrence. And now you bring in Williams into the fray. And now you bring in Austin Johnson, a young guy who I'm not quite sure what they see in him other than he's available and he seems dependable and he's about to blow up, maybe. He seems like on the precipice of doing something special. I don't know. But it seems like Tomlinson might be on the way out, but he could fetch something big in the draft. So we would package Ingram and the team's second-round pick to trade back into the first round, which that would be interesting. And then that would put all these fears about, linebacker versus OT. If you can trade one of those pieces, Ingram or Tomlinson, and a pick to get back into the first and get the linebacker and the offensive tackle, I mean, who's to argue with that? So that's it. That's the show. Cool 2 hours, no biggie. Hit me up on the socials if you can, if you want. If you do, I'll be appreciative. Leave voicemail 862-BIT-1986. I'm very, very interested and curious to see what goes on with this friggin' draft. I think Gettleman has a huge opportunity to come away with some quality pieces. And so far, Pro Football Focus shit all over the free agency haul that we had. I mean, they called every move that we made, they said was below average. And I cannot wait to stick it in their fucking grill and make them eat that crow hoe. Because I don't like, these don't seem like bad signings at all. I mean, everything I read, so they're not elite, okay, but they're above average, and I think that's all we're asking for. And if you sign above average and they play average, that's still better than what we had. So I'm okay with it. And you had to spend a little more money than you probably should have or would have, but you didn't break the bank. We still have a little money. We still have some room in the cap, even with the draft class coming in. So I think there still could be a position player or two, whether that's Marcus Golden. I know Jadeveon Clowney. He's now dropping his asking price to around 17 or 18 mil. I don't see why they would trade for Yannick Ngakoue and pay like 22 mil plus, but I mean, if they have the means and they think it could work, it's just like, I don't know. So I wouldn't write off the Giants. I mean, the Giants, while it's great to win free agency, like we won free agency one year, but we didn't win a Super Bowl. I mean, we went to the playoffs and we got smoked. So it's like, I'd rather not win free agency and win ball games. All right. So that's the show. Thank you so much for listening. And hopefully you and yours are staying safe and being happy and healthy and enjoying your time together, quality time. If you're out of work, I'm sorry. Wish you the best. I'll try and help you out as much as I can. I know I'm not out of work. I am overworked at this point. So, I probably need a nice little vacay. Staycay? Anyone? All right. That's enough. I got to get the fuck out of here. Late, y'all.